Ding 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 ding.
Fubble Time.
Yay! Hi, my name is Teresa Tomey.
And I'm Patrick Ziegler.
And we are
Fubble Entertainment.
And this is
Fubble Time.
Woo! I never cease to be excited about our little cheesy graphics.
And our little theme song.
And our little theme song. It all makes me happy. Well, hi, Patrick. How are you? It's a new year.
What? I know. I was just going to say Happy New Year. This is our first interview of the new year.
It is. And I'm so excited because this month we are interviewing online content creators. I was like, that was fun. That's a fun theme. We've been doing themes since we started this, and we did holidays last year, and then
last year. Oh my gosh. Last year, right?
Last year. That was last year. This is a new year. What a year it's been already.
Here we are talking about fun stuff.
Fun stuff. So, and this is you, Scarecrow. I feel like you, Scarecrow. I'm going to miss you most of all. I'm excited about you most of all. I'm so excited about this person. I actually love all our guests, but I'm really
He's my favorite guest of this year.
He is absolutely the best guest of 2021, for sure. So far. I'm going to read his bio, right? I'm just going to jump right in. Raven is an author, singer, songwriter, and content creator. After graduating, look at that. After graduating from Columbia College, Chicago with a degree in comedy writing and performance, he moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan. All right. Aren't we lucky to have him here? Raven found a following on Tick-Tock after posting Little House on the Prairie content and continues to post a variety of content centered around pop culture, old and new. Boy, is this a man after our hearts. Oh my gosh, on so many levels. He has also completed his first young adult novel, a good old-fashioned American love story, and is currently on its journey towards publication. I'm so excited to ask him about that. Before we bring him in, I used to get these texts from Patrick on my cell phone, and he'd be like, oh my gosh, you've got to see this guy. And then he'd send me these videos of Raven, and I had to join TikTok.
TikTok.
What's that?
The TikTok.
The TikTok.
At our age, that's what we have to call it.
Yeah. As Patrick called the Twitch, a gaming app. Anyway, I had to join the TikTok so I could follow this guy. And so I am so excited that he is here. Would you like to bring him in?
I would. Without further ado, welcome, Raven.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun to have you. You're our first social media sensation, I think.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. No, I love it.
Colleen Lenahan is applauding for you, Raven. So
Colleen, she's one of my most dedicated followers.
Is she really? Oh, yeah. Fun.
Well, we're excited he's here, Colleen. So thanks for being with us. And I will say this too, before we get into some of the questions. The thing that is so great about you, I think, is your multi-generational appeal. And even not knowing, like my husband, I'm sure my husband has never watched A Little House on the Prairie in his entire life. But I'm like, as Patrick's pinging me with Raven messages, I'm like, oh my God, honey, you have to see this one. And I think it was the Carrie and the
oh my God
one, maybe. And he was cracking up. I mean, he was just cracking up. So it's like
the well.
Yeah, the well. That's right.
It was a mine shaft.
Well, I was going to say, I think as a kid I thought it was a well, and then for some reason I thought mine shaft, but then it was a well. Yes.
We have somebody from North Carolina, Laura Devine. What a great name is here. Yeah, so, I mean, we can dive in right into the Little House, but we do want to ask you before we start. We always ask our guests, where did you get bitten by the entertainment bug, if you will? Where did this entertainment part of you come from?
Yeah, it probably the biggest part comes from my granny. Because we were just super
probably our age. No, I'm kidding.
No, but I mean, that's really where, I mean, she was the one that I would watch movies with growing up. Great Race, Arsenic and Old Lace, Bringing Up Baby, I Love Lucy, Little House on the Prairie. And that was my comfort growing up. Movies and music and books. So yeah, it was just kind of instilled by me, or in me by her, for, I mean, as long as I can remember. So, and then it just blossomed from there.
Is your granny still with us?
No. She
What
passed away in 2009.
What was her name?
Sonia. And
Oh.
and it was funny because I do Anne of Green Gables content as well. Yeah. You
didn't know that?
This is so funny.
That falls to you then.
What's that?
I was like, if she doesn't know about it, it falls to Patrick.
Yeah, I haven't seen your Anne of Green Gables stuff yet, but I seriously, I was like, what am I going to ever do on TikTok? If I do something on TikTok, I should do something with Anne of Green Gables. I'm like, I've got the red hair.
I know, yeah. But no, her middle name was Anne, and we always used to joke because it wasn't spelled with an E. And I was like, oof, doesn't sound the same.
That's cute. That's very cute.
Wait, what was her name?
Sonia.
Sonia. Okay.
Yep.
Because my grandma was Anna. Right?
Okay. I
was going to tell you this, and my grandmother was one of the very first residents of Ramblewood.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
She drove a little white Mustang, and it was early 70s, and she was one of the very first people to live in Ramblewood.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So that's kind of how you got inspired, and where you discovered entertainment, if you will. Yeah,
I mean, the entertainment that felt good to me. I wasn't watching Lord of the Rings. When I was in elementary school, this is going to make me seem so young, but I was in elementary school. My friends were watching Lord of the Rings, and I was watching The Runaway Bride on VHS because it's so great. Awesome. But yeah, so that's, it was just movies for me.
And then when did that translate to you in terms of, because you went to school for comedy writing and performance, like when did you go, oh, I don't have to just watch it, I can do it, I can be it? When did that happen for you?
Yeah, well, I ended up my high school was an arts high school. It was Saginaw Arts and Sciences Academy. And we cool. We like majored, they were called our concentrations. And I started when I first got there, I was in the theater concentration, and then I switched over to the voice keyboard because we did choral work and then, piano work as well. So that was kind of where I first dipped into actually performing. And I mean, I'd done some stuff in middle school, but that should stay there.
Most middle school should stay there.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like it's the preview. It's not the whole work. So it was in high school, and I started doing more in the theater concentration because we would write scenes, do scene studies, have our shows, our musicals. And I still got to do that stuff when I switched to the voice and keyboard concentration. Because it was the school musical, anyone could do it. And then Glee was like, all right, go to college for this.
Did you go right to Columbia?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. And then how long were you there? How long were you at Columbia?
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did you perform and do anything in Chicago?
No, that was something, it wasn't that I didn't want to. I think at that point I was struggling with moving to a completely new city, but struggling with self-confidence, seeing all of these incredibly talented people, and then comparing myself, which I know better now than to do that. But I feel like it discouraged me a little bit. And I did a little projects here and there, but nothing notable or consistent, really. I was more working on my music, and kind of that was when I started writing my own music and doing
your
that.
music is great. I love hearing you do your music. It's wonderful.
So great. I do want to ask you a question about your varied interests and abilities. I mean, you are a writer, you are a singer-songwriter, you are an author, you are a performer. I mean, you do have this. I was like, they talk about triple threats and quadruple threats. I mean, you're one of those folks. And I do want to ask you this question. Oh, we have somebody from, I don't know if you saw somebody from New Jersey, somebody from Canada just showed up.
Canada, and Kevin's got a great question.
That's what I was going to say. Before I ask the question, do you want to post it, Patrick, and ask it?
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were going down there. Yeah, this is.
Because I don't want to lose it in the stream because it's a great question.
So the question for Raven, have you read Charlotte Stewart's memoir? She played Miss Beadle. She led a wild life.
I haven't, no, but I am very, I've got Alison Arngrim's that I'm going to start. I've got Melissa Gilbert's. So I will add that to the queue because, well, somebody once commented on one of my videos. They were like, Miss Beadle was in an episode of The Office. And I was like, all right, let's find her. And it was, you wouldn't have made that connection because she was in it for 30 seconds.
Really?
Yeah. I think.
Was she wearing a wig, I wonder?
No, she a wig. No, she was in a Staples when Dwight.
Oh my God!
There, and he was helping her in being weird, and she was just like, "No, I don't need any help, thank you."
I love the idea that Miss Beadle had a wild life.
I know that's. I mean, yeah, I never would have guessed our sweet lemon verbena wearing Miss Beadle.
I had one other.
Love your TikToks.
Nice. Yeah, my only brush with I feel like we told this story, so I won't go into details on it. But one of my few brush with Little House on the Prairie fame was chasing down Melissa Gilbert in a Gelson's parking lot.
Oh my God.
We did. We totally did.
Right and die there.
She was so nice. So nice. And then what did you share with her?
I shared with her that on my honeymoon, I ran down the hill. I made my husband stop on the side of a road, and I went, oh my God, it's a Little House on the Prairie hill. And I made him stop in the middle of somewhere in Maine. I don't even know where it was. And I just got out of the car and I ran down the hill like I was Laura Ingalls.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't pass up a Little House hill.
You had to. So anyway, so I want to know, of all of the things that you do, I mean, you have this book that sounds amazing. You have all of these different interests. Is there one that you enjoy over the other? Are you equally attracted to all forms of creativity? How do you wake up each morning and decide what creative path you're going to follow that day? It's
for the past few years, my writing has been my number one thing because I've been working on the book and I've been editing it, and I think about it all the time. And that's just
good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what drives everybody to do what they love is because they love it and they can't wait to do it. But that's kind of where I'm at now. But my music, it feels very similar to when I'm writing because my songs are all little stories, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Prince, the Sailor, the Merman, all of them. Rockstar's Husband. That's my favorite. But they're all their own little stories. And sometimes the writing facilitates the music and then vice versa. I mean, I'm writing The Prince as a short story right now based on the song. So that's something, it's just kind of whatever the inspiration is and how I can best channel it.
I love how you referenced the prince from Snow White looked like an ant.
He did. I stand by that comment because it's true.
Not a bug, a female ant.
Yep.
That cracked me up. I love that you what you said about you think about it every day, because that I believe is intuition, and that's what drives you to, you know, bringing something to fruition. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what Teresa and I have done, right? And Teresa used to say to me, make it stop. Now she says, keep it coming, keep it coming.
Yeah, his creativity sometimes could get overwhelming. Teresa, I got an idea. I'm like, oh my God, turn it off.
Just take a message and save it for later. Don't
Yeah.
cut it off.
Okay.
Hold on, before you ask that, let's get this question from Dawn up, because it's kind of on theme. Who is your musical idol?
Freddie Mercury.
Oh.
Easy. I love Freddie so much and just the music, but I recently read a Freddie biography and just learned so much because it was about Fred. It wasn't about Fred, my friend Fred. It wasn't about Queen. You know, you can't talk about Freddie without talking about Queen, but it was about Queen. And I felt very, thank you, Dawn. I felt very close to him when I was reading that, because we find out that the real Freddie wasn't the greatest showman. He was introverted and insecure and wanted a normal life. You know, he was a godfather to so many great, like, of his friends' children. So I have a well-rounded love and respect for Freddie now.
And most creatives have that angst, they have that part of them, but they have to perform, right?
Right.
Colleen asked, which is great, do you write songs with guitar or piano?
It's funny. I can't seem to write a song on the piano. I play piano, but I just can't get there. So when I'm writing my songs, it's just I come up with my chord progression and I have my man or my figure or, you know, trope of a character in my mind. Who am I going to write about? Maybe I'll write about a mailman. And then I just kind of go for it and think about what that story could be and what that why would there be a song about a postman? Well, figure it out.
Nice.
Is there a certain
process?
We were just talking, I do a creative coaching group, and they were talking about how they create, what their environment needs to be in. Do you have a certain set of environment that you need to be in or setting to write music, or does it just come and you have to do it at that time? Is
or
there
any form of writing, any creative process?
Yeah.
I just, it's really my home, my apartment, wherever my home is, because I just have, my walls are covered. These are my vintage Disney posters, but my entire apartment is just covered in me. I had a friend come over once and they said, your apartment looks like you. That's a bad compliment. But my idols and my inspirations and the things that I love are all around me. And that's where the inspiration comes, because everywhere I look, there's a reminder of something I care about. I'm like, okay, I see you. Stop watching me. But
have you heard of the book, The Artist's Way?
I've heard of it, yes. I haven't read it.
She talks about an artist altar. So having your favorite things, and it sounds like your house is your artist altar.
It can be anywhere in my home, anywhere.
That's so fun.
But it's my safest space, and I feel like I've done a really good job of cultivating an interesting space to look at and exist in.
Nice.
So you're going to ask Mark Anthony. I know we've got questions, but we're going to ask this one that Mark Anthony Lore just put up. What do you see yourself doing in 10 years?
Wow. For sure, writing. Hopefully, second or third book, short stories. That is my comfiest and most personal form of expression. That and then my music. So I never want to stop telling these stories, because I think it's so interesting. The book is set in 1952, and this is a really cool story, because I wrote the book, and it wasn't until after that I found out what I'll tell you. But it's 1952. Two young men fall in love, and it's a miracle that you even find each other. But then, where do you go from there? So just telling weird stories that we've always existed. So the stories have.
Right.
But so it was after I wrote my book, I saw an article about a man named Kenneth Feltz, who was the title was something along the lines of 90-year-old Colorado grandfather comes out as gay.
Oh, my.
And he was sharing his story because he was writing his memoir over COVID from being quarantined. And he felt that he couldn't truly write a memoir if he's not even being honest with the people around him. And he had this beautiful love story about him and his first lover, Kenneth, from the early 50s and what that was like for them. And it was just a really a validating thing for me. Like, okay, I'm doing something that, you know, writing these stories from these times can bring joy and maybe, you know, oh yeah, I'd never even thought about that.
There was
a story.
There was a we're getting lots of questions. We'll get to your questions in just a second. I'm trying to remember. Recently, I saw somebody or a story on a guy a couple of two guys. They collect pictures of men in love. Did you see that?
Yeah,
it was beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I don't know where I saw that story.
I see that book every day at work, and it's shrink wrap.
Oh, the book. Oh, interesting.
They made it into a book. It's newer, but it's called Loving, and it's those pictures that you're talking about, just compiled into a book, and it's
that's so cool.
Beautiful. It's awesome.
There's somebody on TikTok that shows photos like that.
Well, maybe that's where I saw it. So Hannah says, I just got into reading. What do you recommend me to read? I know that isn't specific, but you have great taste. Oh, so what is a must read? And then she goes on to say, where can I get your book? So we'll make sure we ask that. And Michelle wants us to get it because she says the first chapter is great.
Awesome. Thank you. That is the, just real quick, that's the, what she's referencing is for people that sign up to my website, they subscribe. I have an excerpt from the book sent to their
email. You do? Oh, yeah. Then we need to put up your website and everything too before we're done. So what would you recommend?
Hannah, The Starless Sea. Those who are here from TikTok know exactly what I'm talking about because I talk about TikTok once a week, at least. It is an awesome, and it's a great story about art and stories and books. And so basically the premise is deep below the surface of the earth, there is an infinite library just full of stories and mosaics and books and songs. And certain doors will appear to certain people and they can enter the Starless Sea. So we kind of follow a Starless, no stars.
Starless, okay.
But it's my favorite book of all time. It's beautifully written. It's written like a fairy tale.
That's great. Are you writing it into the comments, Patrick?
Yeah.
Starless Sea, very fun. So where did Michelle talks about your loving your Little House skits, being emotionally invested in them. I love that she said, I totally forget it's one man with a beard and not two women. I do love it when Caroline and Mrs. Olsen go back and forth.
Yeah, I've got one of those coming out tomorrow.
Oh, you do? Oh, good. We'll look for it. I keep going, man, I'm spending, TikTok can be a time suck. And then I'm like, but I can't delete it. I won't get my fix, my Raven fix. So where did your, I noticed you've been doing Grey Gardens.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
We love Grey Gardens. Yeah. My mom and I.
Oh, yeah.
We just love Grey Gardens, and every time we have a little, are you mad at me? No? Are you sure? It's just like look into the future and see the headscarves, you know.
Who I'm curious, who does your camera?
Me.
So when you're sitting and there's a camera over here, do you just have it set up by yourself?
I have a ring light and then it has a phone clasp.
Oh wow!
I know. It's that's my cameraman. It's very.
That's so cool, Mike. Okay.
The one that we just posted of Lucy, I almost wondered. I felt like it was edited so well because it seemed like, I mean, I know it almost sounded like the person that was talking to you was a different voice when you were like, oh wait, no, it's not I only have $800. Oh, I guess I'm not good with money. That one.
The stimulus, the laughing.
Yeah, you're doing the other voice, but
you said Lucy. You meant with Ruthie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So where did your love of vintage come from?
It goes back to Granny again. I mean,
yeah,
it's the music that she instilled in me, but it's like, you know, that's where the entertainment bug came from, but it was the specific old, you know, early movies and television shows and music that something that has just been entertaining to me from a very young age. And when I, now that I'm an adult and I have my own space and everything, I get to live in it. I get to represent that with my furniture and what I watch and, how I dress. A lot of really fun ways of expressing that.
Somebody wrote Michael Landon, am I right? Is that your ultimate crush?
He's my ultimate prairie crush.
Okay.
And we all, if you've seen these videos, we struggle with Michael Landon and Merlin Olsen. Two men after my heart.
But we just died over the Carrie thing. When she, yeah. I don't even know what she said.
I don't know what I could probably figure it out, but people always comment, that girl had to be somebody's kid. Those twins had to be somebody's kid. And they're like, why did they even need Carrie? And it's like, okay, well, she could have been.
Why did they even need Carrie?
She existed. She was the third Ingalls.
Poor Carrie, Dawn said. I know, poor Carrie. She just, I think that's a universal theme.
She does it to herself by being herself, which is a horrible message. But
well, so how has TikTok impacted your life? In what? I mean, what has that been? This is about online content creators. What has TikTok done for you? What do you want to do with TikTok moving forward?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is the followers and the people that leave comments and interact in my lives. Because these are very specific interests. Little House on the Prairie fans now, and Laugh-In and Grey Gardens and Anne of Green Gables, the only one I care about, Sullivan Entertainment, 1985. But
what happened to Match Game?
Match Game, I do Match Game sporadically.
Oh my God, I miss it.
Yeah, I'll probably do one this week, but there's only a certain amount of episodes I have access to, but we'll probably do Password next or something. But yeah, all of these very specific interests and not hobbies, but it feels like a hobby watching all of these shows, but they're not something that you are going to find in a lot of people in your life that are going to vibe with it the same way that you will. But here on TikTok, it's everybody that was like, oh, I didn't realize anybody else watched Little House on the Prairie or Laugh-In or Grey Gardens. I thought I was the only one. And then having all of those people come together in the comments and send me messages and Christmas cards and
oh my God,
that was the best. But all of these really cool people that have very similar interests as I do, and it becomes a conversation. So that's been fun for me.
And how often do you go live?
Maybe once or twice a week. I just got off COVID, so I was a little quiet. But usually once or twice a week, I'll do a live and check in with everyone and answer questions. It's always so fun.
That's right. You're also doing the new Bridgerton. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody recommended that to me, and they were like, you should watch this because it's right up your alley. And it was. And I was like, all right.
We cracked up when you were talking about the different people, and your hand just went up on that.
Yeah.
Guy.
Good.
We died. But I'm interested. I have to ask, have you gotten two questions? Has anybody from Little House, the cast, crew, or whatever, reached out to you? And have you gotten any backlash at all from diehard Little House fans?
No. Well, for your first question, no. I've had people they should be like, you should send Allison your videos, or you should send them to the cast. And they would love it. But so I've messaged Allison on Instagram, I think it was, I sent her some of the videos and I was like, hey, if you want to go live sometime, they would love it. I promise. They would. My God. But I haven't heard anything back. But then there was one comment whose uncle was Dean Butler. And she's like, he doesn't know what TikTok is, but he thought it was funny. And it was his lips saying he didn't have any. And I was like, okay, good. That would have been backlash that I would receive. But no, I don't really get any. There's every once in a while somebody's like corrects me on a plot point, and they get really heated about it, and I'm like, all right, I'm sorry.
So what is your process of breaking that down? Because that's an hour-long show, or 45 minutes or whatever it is. How do you decide what you're going to cut and what you're going to comment and get it down to, what is it, 2 minutes?
It's 1 minute.
Is it 1 minute?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I usually, there's a part of me that takes into account that the people that are going to watch the video and enjoy it kind of have a general idea of what's going on. But I try to get the bones of the plot so that it comes full circle, because then it would be like 5 parts for every episode, because I could comment on everything that happens.
Yeah.
So I just kind of look for the big plot points that would be satisfactory enough for the viewers, and then I just then watch those clips, and I say what I think about them. I just kind of say it, and that's how, because it's my natural reaction to me watching this show, and that's when people are like, "Oh my God, I had the same exact reaction," and that's where the Carrie hate comes out. We're an army.
So we got 2 things that we're already in a half an hour. We got to wrap up, but Michelle says, also, I love how you're an old school romantic and need to be courted.
That's true. It's required.
That's wonderful. And then Colleen says, are there any other shows you're thinking about covering on TikTok?
The 95 version of Pride and Prejudice, I could totally get a lot out of that, because it's what, 5-6 hours?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's 6 episodes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they're long. They're feature length. So I was thinking about doing that because people have asked, and I've mentioned that that's the only Pride and Prejudice to me. So I'm definitely gonna do that one, and I've got it as well. So
Dawn wants you to do Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch. I would love to do something with the Brady Bunch or Partridge Family, but that's what I found is hard, because I could, people have said, do I Love Lucy with the commentary, but with sitcoms, I feel the whole show is the dialogue, and I talk over it. So it's like, if I were to, I wouldn't, but if I were to do an I Love Lucy and comment on it, I'm blocking out the best part.
Right.
Right, and your shtick is to be funny, and it's like, when you've got so much funny in front of you, you don't want to compete with the funny that's there too.
Right, because I did that. I did it with Bewitched, and it was fine, and it was fun to make, and obviously fun to watch. But it just didn't work, because the dialogue and the writing was jokes, and that's where the humor is. And if I'm talking over that, it just looks like regular mortals in a room with furniture moving.
Did you learn when you were at Columbia? I mean, is this like to study humor in this way? We actually, did you, how much of what you learned in college are you applying to what you're doing today on?
Yeah, it's funny, because before I was doing this, it was TikTok videos and stuff. It was my writing and my music. So while there were some great things that I got out of my comedy education with my book, because, we learn about commedia dell'arte and stuff, and arte, and that's just like great for character building, because you have those recognizable characters. But it wasn't until I started doing the TikToks that I was like, it's kind of, I wouldn't be doing this as well if I didn't have some sort of mechanic knowledge to it. And especially with the laugh-in videos, because that's joke. That's not me talking casually, that's joke. So that was another thing where I'm like, all right, I feel good.
But that's funny work and laughing, because you're putting yourself in that fun scene and then throwing out a joke, which is what they did, right?
Yeah. So it was like the perfect medium for that, to do it.
But it's interesting. Those are different parts. Because Patrick and I are writers, so I know Patrick and I very much like to write comedy that comes from character-driven comedy. I don't think either one of us, I think I can speak on your behalf, would say that we're accomplished joke writers. We're not necessarily joke writers. And we'll even, in our scripts, sometimes I'll write like joke, and then we send it over to our friend Danny, who supplies it, because he's a joke, he can drop the jokes in, you know.
Yeah.
But that's, you're expressing and demonstrating very different approaches to, I mean, those are very different skills, I think, in the world of comedy, and to be gifted at both of them is great.
Thank you. I think definitely with the commentary, and I like the video I used to do, rating the hotness of these historical figures, and it's like Julius Caesar and you know, Tsar Nicholas of Russia. But I think with that, that's utilizing the improv training that I had, because I'm, you know, my commentary is me watching it and observing and being very connected with whatever I'm talking about. So it's part improv, part me just talking. But that's where I'm able to.
That's fun, because that's our whole background is improv as well. And we both did the Groundlings in LA.
Oh.
This is fun. Colleen says, how important is the brooch in becoming Harriet Olsen?
It's like the on button, you know. She's always there, but when you put the brooch on,
it's like,
that's when it's,
and like actors say they have to get in the shoes or whatever.
yeah.
And here's another one. Do you want to read that one, Teresa?
Sure. The subtle expressions of the characters are so specific and spot on. There's so much emotional content in them. There's a whole backstory to each twitch and eye roll.
That's how they communicated with each other, because whatever Mrs. Olsen said that was catty or snide was always like, just so fake. And it's so expressive that, and it's just her, because she is such a big character that it's just, I pretend like I'm watching whatever I'm saying on the TV as she would say it.
And I love that they say that in real life she was super, super nice. She was like one of the nicest people, which is so great. And I was so excited that you did the camping episode, because I remember as a kid seeing her fall in the river and think it was the funniest thing.
So dramatic. It was so good. I'm surprised she didn't like limp to the campsite after that, because it was so awful.
I think I had PTSD though when you brought in that little adopted girl that looks like the little Nellie Jr.
Nancy.
What was her name?
Nancy the devil.
Nancy the devil. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that made me, I was like, oh, I loathed that child.
Yeah, she was no.
And who was the replacement of Mrs. Beadle that you?
Oh, Eliza Jane Wilder. Get a life, girl.
So we want to make sure we get up your website. What is your actual website?
So it's mrstoneauthor.wixsite, so WIXSITE.com.
Wixsite?
Wixsite.com.
WIXSITE.com.
Yep. And then /homepage. And that'll take you there. And then that's
dyslexic is writing this. Okay. Hopefully I got it right. Mr. Stone Author. I hope I spelled author right.
Yep, that's it.
Did I do it? And then your is this correct for your TikTok? Mr. Stone Author?
Yes.
So that's where people can find your TikTok, and it's also your Instagram, right?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of my ultimate name around the neighborhood.
What is it? Der de Bloom. What is the word? I'm not going to get it right. If my husband's here, tell me. Nom de Plume. Nom de Plume. Good. The link worked. Colleen checked it for us. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's just like a little subscription form at the bottom, and you'll get the excerpt from that.
So when do you anticipate you will be able to put the book out into the world?
I am trying very hard. It's just inevitable that when it's searching for an agent, because I'm choosing to go with traditional publishing.
Yeah.
You have to have that agent to represent you. And it's the same in any industry where you need an agent. It's like the search is hard.
It's terribly difficult. And I mean, they talk about getting an agent as an actor or writer or whatever is, or, you know, in Hollywood is difficult.
Yeah.
I understand that writing agents. I mean, we had a friend who wrote a young adult and she looked for 3 or 4 years to get an agent. It was so difficult. And she ended up self-publishing.
And we're going to have her on. We're going to do a month of authors. And so we're going to have, we figured you hit many different
I know. Do we do online content creators? Do we do authors? Do we do singer-songwriters? Where do we bring him in?
And what's the name of, he'd probably like Sheila's books.
Gone Before Spring.
What is it called?
Gone Before Spring.
Gone Before Spring.
Okay.
And it takes place in old Grand Rapids and yeah.
I love that. The history.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's actually very interesting. It's about a young woman who grew up in the early 60s and dealing with life in the early 60s here in West Michigan. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And using some iconic places. So Michelle, right? Yes, it's recorded, meaning that it will live on Facebook and live on YouTube for a long time. So if that's what you're wondering. So Raven, this was so fun and quick.
I know. I know. Time flies. But
and we have to get our, I think I shared with you that we're friends with Ruth Buzzy. So we have to get the video of you with her. And we're hopefully going to have her on one of the.
Oh, yeah, you got to get that to Ruth. That'd be very fun.
It's hilarious on Twitter.
Yeah.
We need to let our friend Stan know what you're up to, too. Stan is a writer. He's writing a book, and I'm not going to get the title right, but it's something like The Women in My Life from Golden to Gilmore, and then all the women in my life from Golden to Gilmore and Roseanne too, or something like that. Because he's a writer. He wrote Golden Girls first season. He wrote Gilmore Girls 5th season. He wrote on the Roseanne show. So he's worked with all these interesting women, yeah.
And he wrote the Brady Bunch movies as well.
Oh, man. We love those. They're so great.
Yeah. I'm like, well, yeah, we should hook you guys up, too. He'd be great connection.
He was on an episode, so you could go back and check out. He was on one of our episodes of Fubble Time.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
Well, this was great, Raven. I have to give the space to Mark now, who takes over our studio. So wonderful connecting with you. Stay in the green room, and we'll connect with you after.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Raven's friend. Yeah. So nice to have all of Raven's friends with us, too.
I know.
Loved it. Colleen, that was so much fun. Thank you. We just think he is the most delightful human being, and we are just thrilled that you stay awesome, Raven. We're so thrilled that you all appreciate him so much, as we do too. Now, next week, January 20th, the day that Joe Biden will be inaugurated, we are still going on with the show. The show must go on.
Earlier in the day, so we'll party in the evening, kind of thing.
And we have at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time, we are going to be interviewing another online content creator. This person is a cabaret performing artist whose life went kaput when COVID struck. And so she's a staple of the Palm Springs cabaret community. Her name is Francesca Amari, and she will be joining us next week from 7 to 7:30, because then she goes live at 7:30 on her own show that she does every week.
Jump right over to listen to her.
Jump right over and listen to great vintage music, great vibe, great contemporary. I mean, she's just a great performer all the way around, and we're excited.
And she has a Lucy and Desi and Lucy Arnaz connection. So we'll talk about that next week too.
Oh, I'm excited to know what that is. Do I know?
Well, we'll talk about it.
Reveal it next week.
Okay. We got to get out of here. Rebecca O'Donnell said delightful. And on that note,
gotta get out of here.